Hi everyone, my name is Uchi. On this channel, I'm gonna pick up something in daily life as a way and opportunity to think our life differently. I have some question. If you are invited to someone's space, how do you behave if you need to go to the toilet? And if you need to use a socket to charge your phone, if you are thirsty and you wanna get something to drink, you behave as if it's your house and freely, or you're gonna ask the host whether you can do it or not, and then you behave it. So here's my story. Almost 2 years ago, I started to be invited to new friends in Amsterdam. And then when I was invited to their places, I was literally Japanese. So which means if I want to charge my phone, I ask them, may I use the socket? And then if I want to something in the fridge, like the beer, the wine, the something, I ask them before that, may I open your fridge? Oh, like this, I kept asking them over and over again. And then at the end, they were a bit surprised. So why did you ask me like that way? You can use my room freely. Relax, Michi. At that moment, I was still typical Japanese person. So I was shocked too. So today, I want to talk about how do we behave when we were invited to someone's place. As a premise, I want to talk about specific situation where we knew each other lately. So which means we don't have deep and close relationship yet. I want to talk about example under such a situation, okay? So let's explore our behavior. So first, I'm gonna explain Japanese typical example. The thing is, we Japanese people tend to check and think whether how much we can enter into the private space. Not only the physical, like the private room, like a toilet, bedroom, but also even mentality. Okay, the first, we Japanese people have typical ritual when we enter into someone's places. So at the entrance, we are supposed to say, お邪魔します. Directly translated, that means sorry to interrupt your private space. That sounds funny, right? I think to some people, that's really some wacky custom from the Japanese people. So why do you say that? Why do you use お邪魔します to enter into the private space? Before explaining the reason, I want to keep adding some example. So our strange custom started even from the entrance. And then inside the room, as I say, when I want to use a socket to charge my phone, or when I want to, open the fridge to put something to drink, we are supposed to ask, excuse me, may I something, So my conclusion comes down to three main reasons. Okay, I'm going to explain in a row. The first reason is, even though you are invited to someone's places, but the house is still their field, not your own field. So when you are invited to someone else's house, as a guest, but you are just the guest. And in Japanese society, the guests are not to suppose jump over boundary between the host and the guest. To opposite that, when I lived in Amsterdam for 2 years, I lived in the share house with the 4 great flatmates. And at that moment, many times we invite our own friend really casually. And then we really, could enjoy talking with, communicate with a new person at our private field. The definition about the private house room is completely, you are invited into someone's places, and then you across the entrance, you have to pay attention to the boundary between the guest and the host. That gap between the host and the guest is really wider compared to Western culture. The second reason is really unique concept in Japanese, so which is Uchi to Soto. If directly translated, Uchi means inside, just people in the space you belong to. The opposite, Soto means outside. People in the spaces are not fully part of your group. So even when you are invited to someone's places, you may be physically inside, right? But socially, you are still a guest from the outside. That is why Japanese people often asking the permission before they use something. They are not only being polite, but rather they are carefully checking how far into the other's private spaces they have been welcome. The last reason is that the Japanese way of hospitality. We have unique the concept about hospitality in Japan. That is called omotenashi. Omotenashi has like a bunch of like a definition and meaning and depending on some context. So today I want to use really easy example and definition. In the omotenashi culture, okay, let's say, okay, private my room. Hosts tend to behave in advance to prepare something necessary for the guest. I would think like in the Western culture, guests are supposed to think they can use someone's spaces freely. Of course, that doesn't mean, the Western people can do an invasion of privacy. I didn't mean it. But compared to like Japanese society, people can behave much freer at someone's private spaces than Japanese house. So for example, the hosts are supposed to prepare for something to drink before the guests try to open the fridge. Even before, guests will ask the host. And the other end, the hosts are supposed to introduce where is the toilet and where is like a socket and where is the kitchen or something. Before, the guest will ask the host, so where's the toilet? Where is the socket? That behavior is based on like Japanese like consideration and like some spirit to prepare for something as long as they can in advance. And next, I want to see that Japanese culture from like a different perspective. I have like a two experience of being invited to someone's private space in the Western culture and Japanese culture. And like, truth be told, I can feel much more like chilling and relaxing at someone's house in the Western culture, not Japanese one. At the Japanese culture, not only the host, but also the guests have to, care about like each other. And then like guests have to like wait like at the corner of the room. So until they introduce each, equipment and spaces at the house. In addition to this, like hosts are supposed to, introduce and prepare for everything in advance. Before the guest will ask them. I feel like that consideration and omotenashi, like Japanese hospitality, like spirits, like turned to like extreme and like too much like hesitation. And please don't misunderstand one thing. Of course, Japanese hosts say that, relaxing, take a seat, enjoy like your home. But from my experience, I need much time to be relaxing finally. Because until we get along well with someone else, even if we are sad, chilling, relaxing, but at the same time, it sounds contradiction though. I feel like, I have to keep the quiet and the calm at someone's places. I feel like mentality, there is some the intense between the host and the guest. So that makes me feel bit, uncomfortable, compared to the Western's way. In my opinion, for example, in Amsterdam and London, if I open the fridge freely and then I grab the drink or I put something that I bought at the grocery store, that means, I can belong here. So that also means, I'm really the welcome at the place. I think that's one kind of shape of intimacy. That doesn't look rude at all. Rather, that is a confidence. I don't have to behave as officially the guest anymore. I can, feel the relaxing and chilling. So my conclusion is, to ask the approval at someone else's spaces before doing something, it can be, the kind of respect to the host. What I want to keep from Japanese culture is awareness that another person's home is not automatically the mine. But I also want to learn that making yourself at home can sometimes be a form of respect, not disrespect and rude. What does making yourself at home become disrespectful? And when does it become a sign of the trust? Let me know your opinion in the comment. Thanks for watching.